I think failures is one of those things that, sort of like starts as soon as you're born. You go through failure every single day, and I think, like, there's this something I kind of want to like
Mhm.
dive a bit deeper into, because you said that failure is something that, like, no one in life does not experience failure. Everybody experiences failure. So I kind of wanted to like, focus on this aspect for a bit, is that how we perceive failure, how we deal with failure in our adult life. I think a lot of that response, the uncorrected response, if I will, is built in childhood. How we are taught to handle failure, how we're treated when we fail at something, right? I think that response to failure is built in childhood. Because, for example, if you come from any Asian household, and let's say you fail at like a math test or a science test or whatever it may be, right? In the eyes of your parents, you failed, and they're not going to go easy on you. They don't sit down and ask you like, well, what difficulties did you face, right? The language is very different. The language is more colorful, and it makes you feel less than. And so this pain of failure builds inside of you, that you sort of want to avoid it as much as possible. And I think a lot of people carry this response into their adulthood, and it affects the way they handle failure as they go through life. Like, what has been, if because if we're going to talk about this, I think it's worth exploring like our personal experiences with failure. Like, what has been your like childhood experience with failure? I think, let me phrase it in a better way, Ali. If I was to ask you, your childhood experience with failure versus how you experience failure right now, would you say that there has been a dramatic shift? As in, like, you look at it and be like, yeah, those are two entirely different worlds. They're not compatible in any way.
Okay, I'm gonna share a quick story with you, Numan, and I want to help you break it
Sure.
down for me a little bit. Okay, so we're just gonna break it down.
Okay, go
It's
for it.
it's of course it's related to what we are speaking about, but this is the first story that comes to mind. I'm just gonna share it with you. Um, when I was doing my O levels, um, at that time I had this subject called ad maths. Yeah, ad maths. Okay. So I used to
Okay.
I had a teacher in school, and then I had a private tutor. Okay, the private in the private tutor's story to my parents was that, man, Ali is so good at maths. He really knows how to solve problems, really how to approach it. He does so good over here. My teacher in school had a complete opposite things to say. He doesn't understand math. He's not doing good at math. My tuition teacher failed to understand that how come this kid can solve this, he can do so well over here, but when he goes and sits in front of that person or in that class, he doesn't perform. And I felt that too, man. I was like, Mom, I don't know why. I can really perform at the tuition center, but I cannot perform in class. It's the same. Everything's the same. I don't know. I don't know. Something happens. I never know what. Of course, at that point in time, I wasn't the thinker that I am today in that sense. But now that I look back at it, I'm trying to break it down. That what was, and let me tell you this, that the teacher who was teaching me at the private tuition, she was always so encouraging. From day one, she treated me good, like, you got
Right.
this. You know this, Ali. You can solve this. This is the way it's done. Okay, now you got it. Let's practice it again. Oh my God, you were able to do this. This is so amazing. I'm going to call your parents, let them know that you were able to do it yourself today. That's so amazing. Whereas that other professor, he knew me outside of my classroom before. He knew me as a little bit of the guy with that sort of a group, with a little bit of a, not the most studious child. Let's put it this way. So he
Right.
always had that kind of
Right.
perception
Right.
towards me, that this kid, always the mischievous Ali, let's say, right? And that completely changed what my results were, Noman. Does that? I'm not saying if you could relate to that, but do you see something in there?
No, I 100% see something. This is a very, very important conversation because number one, the subject you also picked is, in my opinion, one of the most common ones when it comes to failure, because a lot of people are terrible at math, right? And math is one of those things that is not taught properly at school. It's not handled well, I think, even at, the home level. And I've had similar experiences where like I was good in a certain subject up to a certain point in life, and then this one person came along and decided that we need to take away all encouragement and we need to bring the stake and punish for every small failure. And it sort of like builds inside of your head. First you struggle, you try and do your best to succeed, but that whole fear of like failing and being punished for it, you start making silly mistakes. You don't learn anything. You're constantly stressed, constantly anxious about a negative outcome, and you're trying to do everything to avoid it. So it creates this association in your head. And I yes, I have experienced it, and you're absolutely right. I think like, you're sort of like, this is that argument, Ali, nature versus nurture, right? Right. So how you nurture people for this experience, I think, plays an impressive role in how people handle it in their adult life. And a lot of people would not be wasting their time learning about failure, how to handle failure, if we'd just done a good job when we were children, right? I want to give you one example, like, because this is a very important topic to me, like failure. So I have had this goal since, I would say, close to 2019 early, and I have the book, right? So I did a pretty bad job in math after like 7th 8th grade. Up until 7th grade I was like really damn good. I knew what to do in math. I didn't have a lot of trouble, just the usual challenges. But 7th grade onwards, I had a horrible math teacher, and then I just constantly failed. And so I said to myself that one day, like, I'm going to teach myself math. If I have to start from the basics all over again, I'm going to do it because I just want to learn. I find it a fascinating subject. So I bought this book, and it teaches you everything about math from like the basics to advanced level. So they say you could get up to like a full university level. Well, not university, like the first 2 years of university level education for math. And I have been trying to do this since 2019. I haven't gotten past, I would say, the first 5 6 pages, but every like few months I try again, and then I fail after 5 6 pages, and then I just kind of like, just toss it away, and then it sits, gathers dust, and then I look at it again, and then I get, passionate about it, and I'm like, yeah, I can do this. Like, it's gonna be a little difficult, it's gonna be hard, but there's YouTube, and I can learn, and then I'll fail again. And it happened so many times. I remember that I started journaling about it. Like I literally journal about why I fail at reading a book that I paid $60 for, and it helped me understand better that literally 90% of the time it's my fear of my past failures and how they were treated. And like my brain is sort of like ruminating about past failures, past experiences. So I am unable to focus on what's in front of me. I am unable to create a clear strategy on how to approach the problem this time round, because I am doing the same thing again and again. Like, what am I doing? I'm literally sitting down, pen and paper on one side and a book in front of me, and I'm like, yes, I'm going to do math. And I've done the same strategy every time I failed. I have changed nothing about this. That's how I go into this. You'd think that I would have learned something by now, but I haven't. But this year something different happened. I finally decided to sort of look at this from a different perspective, try to take the emotion out of the way. You'll notice me talk a lot about emotion because failure for me is a very emotional thing, rather than like, an ego thing. Like, I don't like the pain of failure. It really bothers me and it turns me away from a lot of things. But I this time round I asked better questions about why I was failing at it. So I approached the problem from a very different sort of angle, where I decided that I'm just going to start watching a couple of YouTube videos on like basic math, right? Like whether it's basic geometry or trigonometry or whatever it is. And I'm just going to build from there, because I just have to sit and listen. And there's so many good tutorials out there. And I noticed that it had a different kind of impact on me, because there was no outcome that was required. I wasn't hoping to learn anything. I wasn't hoping to complete some sort of unit. I was just hoping to sit there and just watch this 15-minute video. And I did. And I felt pretty good about it. And I actually retained something. So it's that sort of like tying back into how you frame failure.